All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, baby. So I live in New England. It is approximately 25 degrees outside right now. Now, it is today's date. Let's just take a peek at the date. I don't even know what the date is. Let's look. What is today's date? We're talking about today is November 15th. Ladies and gentlemen, November 15th. So that makes sense to me why it's 25 degrees. It also makes sense why a couple days ago it was still 70 degrees. That also makes sense to me. And things are starting to make sense. What the heck am I talking about? I'm talking about the sun in the sky. When you understand that the earth is not a spinning ball moving 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, 66,700 miles an hour around the sun, chasing the sun through the galaxy, 500,000 miles an hour infinitely and forever. Woo! When you realize that that is fantasy land and you learn the truth, it starts to make a lot of sense. So I'll explain to you what I'm talking about. How does this make sense? Well, I live in the Northern Hemisphere. I am from originally Massachusetts. I still live in New England. So, in the Northern Hemisphere, what happens in the summertime, during the summer solstice, okay, which is in the middle of June, all right, what happens is the sun has now come back to the Northern Hemisphere, and it is now more directly above the Northern Hemisphere, which is why the Northern Hemisphere is in its summertime and the Southern Hemisphere is in its wintertime. So what is happening is the sun goes around us in a circle, as sundials prove, because you can't get a sundial to work if the sun rises in the east and sets in the west and goes directly above us from A to B. That it just won't work like that, period. Anyone can do this experiment. Make a sundial at your house, even use a flashlight and a light and see how it works. You have to move the sun around the source that it's lighting, which means it has to move around in a circle. And doesn't that word sound familiar? Because the word circle is in the Bible many times. And the word circle is a two-dimensional object. A circle is two-dimensional, not 3D, which means two-dimensional means flat. Okay, a circle can be a table. A table is flat, not a sphere. All right, so when you understand that, it makes sense. All right, now what's happening is in the summertime, on the summer solstice, the sun is as close to the Northern Hemisphere as it is going to get. That's it. Now, the day of the summer solstice, which should be right around June 20th, okay, that day, and again, depends on where you live, but on that day, what happens is the sun is now going to start to move towards the Southern Hemisphere. So while it's going in a circle, which is what it does in my opinion, it goes around the earth in a circle, it changes its path a slight bit, and it starts heading further away, going further away, back out to the Southern Hemisphere, which is why all of a sudden our days start to become shorter, because now the sun is traveling further away. This is why our nights become longer, because now the sun has a further route to go to get to the south. So like everything else, the birds fly south for the winter. Even the old people go south for the winter. What else goes south for the winter is the sun goes south for the winter. Now, all of the ancient cultures, in my opinion, believed that the earth was flat. I mean, start reading, start understanding. They were able to predict eclipses based on a flat earth, not on a spherical, crazy earth, okay? This is Galileo nonsense. Now, what most people don't realize is there were philosophers before Galileo that believed that the earth was flat and stationary, and there were a lot of them. So what I believe happened at a certain point is that the mainstream way back was looking for somebody that would give them an opinion that they wanted to hear. And that's the opinion they used, period, end of story. You don't learn about people like Tycho Brahe in school. You learn about his assistant, Johannes Kepler, but you don't really learn about Tycho. And they also named a moon crater after him, which would make him, in my opinion, a pretty important figure. So why are they naming moon craters after him? Well, because Tycho was one of the best observers of the sky ever, of all time. And all he did was observation. He didn't use math, okay? His assistant, Johannes Kepler, was a mathematician. And Kepler would use his math. Tycho would use his eyes. And you know who was always closer to the truth? Was Tycho, because he used his eyes, okay? Now, all of the rich people, the rich kings and the lords and ladies and all these people back then would hire Tycho Brahe to do all of their work for them, anything star-related, sky-related, all the sky maps and all the stuff. He was the one doing it. No one else. He did. Because they thought that he was the most accurate. So if everyone back then used this guy Tycho Brahe, they bothered to put him in the history books, but just not a lot. And they named a moon crater after him. I would imagine that this guy is of some importance. So, you know, you really need to start to learn more. If you're the type of person that's just sitting down and saying, oh, but Galileo, they figured it out with sticks and stones thousands of years ago. Please. I don't even waste my time arguing with people like that anymore, because as soon as you say that, I know that you haven't really read any much, you know, other than what the mainstream tells you. So, yeah, it's not even worth it, in my opinion. But what I like to do is tell people, you know, what they can go outside and visibly see. They can go outside and visibly see the same stars up in the sky that have been around for thousands of years. Same ones. Go outside and say, oh, look, cool, look at, there's Virgo, and there's Sagittarius, and there's all the constellations right up there, just like they were thousands and thousands of years ago. How are we endlessly spinning if they're just always there? I mean, isn't that a bit weird? No one questions that. I can drive in a vehicle 5 minutes down the road, and I'm not going to be looking at the same thing I was looking at 5 minutes before. So I'm pretty sure if we were endlessly millions and millions of miles a year, just going forever and ever, it'd be the same thing. So give me a break. But again, this is my opinion. I love you all. You can find me at my website. Please, I need your help with X. My X account, I get so censored, man. I am Andy John Creator with the Sun 33 over there. And then all my other platforms, I'm with the Sun 33. And I could use your help on YouTube and Rumble, because YouTube crushes me. Rumble, I just haven't really hit any algorithms over there. But so we'll see. But I love you all. Thank you so much. And again, this is my opinion.